Good evening everyone and welcome along to the second episode in this series of the Point and Reunion podcast. We're promoting the Irish Masters event that's happening on the 30th of September in Link 48. You can see the lineup there. We've got Gleave, the big man himself, Xray, Jacko, Colin Hamilton from Lush, Paul P and some boy called Ball X, and then on room 2 it's the return of DJ Joanne, which we were really all looking so forward to. We'll talk a wee bit more about that in a second, but we would just like to welcome our guest this week. We have the outstanding Northern Ireland DJ, DJ Xray from Korean, and sitting beside Xray we have a girl that never missed a point, never missed Kellys, never missed Circus, never missed Tokyo Joe's. She was in every club that you went to. She was there, and that would be Miss Gillian Hunter.
Thank you.
Welcome, Gillian.
Thank you.
So first of all, we'll go to Ray. Ray, welcome, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Cheers, thanks for having me. Pleasure's all mine.
So how many years now have you been in the club culture in Northern Ireland?
36 coming this February. Next February.
That's some stunt.
Aye, ups and downs. It's had its time. The first time I got a gig was in Valentine's Day, 1988. A guy, I don't know if you heard him before from up around here, it was called Happy Harry. He used to do the old Q102.
Aye, that's right.
Was it Harold Brennan or something you called him? He was originally from Donegal. He didn't turn in one night, or Barry either had the flu, and your man couldn't go down and do it, so I was doing the lights, and your man gave me then the slot of playing 7-inch singles.
Very good.
That night, and that was Valentine's.
Where was that on?
In the Lacey's, Korean.
Lacey's in Korean.
Aye.
Was that the Bullseye then, Lacey's?
No, that's straight across from it. It's now a Chinese restaurant.
Right, okay.
Called the Golden Dragon, I think it's called now.
Well, like as we were saying before, Belfast was a big place for clubbing back in the 90s at the start, and people here in Derry, we had the Point in. You would have had Kellys tracks, the rest of it. I knew you from 1990 in the Jet Centre. You would have DJ'd in Ice Rink.
That's right, aye.
And my brother would have DJ'd at Ice Rink. So that's how I came to get to know you.
That's right,
and the music that you were playing was sort of interesting me at that time too, because it was more
early hurley stuff.
Yeah,
because Chris had a big influence in the Port from 91. I think some of the best nights I ever had in Kellys was Chris was playing, especially at the end of the nights where they was doing encores and he was dropping all sorts of stuff. I've even goosebumps even thinking about it.
Aye.
You know, I've spoken this before about the likes of Sister Sledge, Lost in Music, and We Are Family, really obscure stuff as well. I remember one night I'm just playing this like noise as people were leaving, just like a complete wow. It's just like, I don't know. I remember rasping about it. Another track was Amy Burkell,
Circles. He played that in the tribute.
That was the tunes of my recollection from Chris DJing there. Was some amazing nights where people were actually walking down the lane, Kelly's Lane, maybe going to the White Rocks or going to the caves. They were just singing the last song, no matter what it had been. Lost in Music was the one that's just seen.
It always stood out there.
Yeah, and the steam rising off everybody's backs as they were walking down the lane, and everybody, it was just like thousands of people.
There was the part of the barn that was like concrete, and then the other half it was like tiles, wasn't it? Black and white tiles. The water on the floor. You would be sliding everywhere. You see some sights like too.
Make no mistake about it, Kellys was just a shack. That's all it really was, and in terms of before pre-rave, it would have been like the likes of Emotional Fish and bands like that there. I've been playing it. My dad actually played on it, but when it was just like Beals of Hay and stuff.
That's right. Your dad was in the show bands, was he?
That's right. Aye, for a long time. He played the saxophone, clarinet, Arthur. But as I say, he played in Kellys before me.
Your dad got on before you.
He always got that one up on me. But no, we were on Kellys for 3 years, but I think within that time, it stands out. A lot of people remember the nights it was there, like Carl Cox and Tricks and Your Dream Frequencies, and these iconic nights that stood out. Where
so when Chris Hurley was DJing at Kellys, you'd have been. Where would you have been DJing then?
Possibly between anywhere at all. Like I might see one of the flyers that me and Chris done a place that was the dairy. It's now done. It was called Positiva. You remember?
I remember that.
Maybe Marcus and stuff. So Marcus and Scooby were the resident DJs, and we were brought down that time to do. I'm not sure it was August '92. But different places. I mind playing in Lochgill a while ago.
I remember you too.
And that was actually 1990 as well, because that Jackie Charlton thing was out.
That's right.
And at that stage you were trying to bring in rave music to them, and that's maybe
not Lochgill, I don't think.
No, I know.
But different story nowadays, like.
Yeah, without doubt. I think the younger generation now is just more susceptible to just everything, really, aren't they?
But that was the Lochgill would be not, I wouldn't say nationalist, but it would be.
It would have been a Republican.
A Republican area. The Lough and Lochgill. Like, I would have been up there because my family lived in Lochgill.
Yeah, aye.
And I'd have been up in Lochgill a lot. And I do remember you being in the club rooms.
That was like the hall, wasn't it?
Aye.
Mine, I've just been out and it's just been filled with smoke and just young ones just dancing on top of each other's shoulders and stuff.
I remember when you were saying about the ole.
Oh, ole. And the record finished. That was the last song of the night. Somebody shouts it up. Put it on again, yeah. My hands were shaking. I was glad to see Ian Young coming into the back door. It was him who got me the gig. You remember Ian too?
I do remember Ian well.
Well, it was him who actually owned the record shop. He was managing the Jets at the time too. Like, so.
That's right. That's how my brother would have known him. He did a lot of work for Ian and stuff. But the Jet Centre was brilliant. I remember going around as a group of friends, and we would all go down there and just the rave music belting out, and we're all going around the
Sunday used to be good on it, you know, everybody.
Scooby actually DJ'd in the Jet Centre too, didn't he?
He played ice hockey as well. I tried, like.
And then another vivid memory I would have from you would be, do you remember they used to do the raves in the Ulster Hall, the Hellraisers?
The one in Ballymoney.
The very place. Was that a roller dome or something?
It was a roller dome as well, for a while.
Bass was playing at that too.
That's right. I was playing bass, and
that was Christmas Eve, because I'll tell you, there's a funny story about that. We went there, right, and I think it was Moby or something. I can't remember who was doing Ulster Hall, or it was a Hellraiser anyway. Went back to Ballymoney, and you and bass and Malloy and Robbie Nelson was playing, and we were out. So that meant we were away from Derry early that day, went to Hellraiser, then went to All Nighter in Ballymoney, right? The next day was Christmas Eve, right? So I always had to go home to my mum's house, right? So I went home to my ma's, and my stepfather, my brother, says to me, right, we're going out for a pint. So we went down the town, went down to a bar, and I was hanging out of my hole, like I had no sleep whatsoever, right? And I was getting it tight and all, and I remember saying, I'm going to fucking sit and have a wee doze in the toilet here for 10 minutes, bring myself around, I'll be grand again then. So they thought that I had fucked off home. So the bar closed and everything, and I fucking woke up in the middle of the night in this bar in Dungiven, not a being round me, Christmas Eve, fucking had to break out the windows and everything. Swear to God. So that was that would
have been in '92 and around that, wasn't it? At the Ballybecks Industrial Park.
That's right. Was it a roller? Was it a roller?
It was a roller. No, it was a bowling alley.
I knew it was something.
That's what it was. It was a bowling alley.
And then you would have done a lot of the parties in the White Rocks and stuff too.
After that too, there were nights you've been asked down to do that. Some after Kellys. That was just another world really. Whenever you were leaving Kellys, or no matter how you got up to it, you know, across a golf course or walked up the road and just get down to it, and there was boys just with a white van and a big fire going, and you know, it was, you would never get that now.
No.
I think because of the backdrop of the Troubles back then as well, the police were a wee bit more lenient, you know, on stuff like that happening. They had bigger fish to fry. Even though sometimes they used to come down and show their faces, but you know, nobody was doing nothing wrong.
No, everybody was just. But you met loads of people from all over.
There was. You know
what I mean? And who was the guys who just did DJ at it? I know you.
They were Belfast. I know there was the likes of Cato and MCB Fast. It was Belfast. A big guy from Derry here too as well. Young, I call him. His name escapes me now.
No.
The red-haired fella, somebody young. You better know him.
I remember you showing me the footage of when the documentary was done at that time.
The Dancing in Narrow Ground.
That
was a great insight, actually.
It was, and if you want to see that, it's on YouTube, isn't it?
It's on YouTube. I think it was one of the ex-guys from, he worked for Ulster TV at some of that time, with the BBC. He uploaded it. I think he might have done a bit of DJing too. I'm trying to think of his name here.
What do you call it again, Ray?
Dancing in Narrow Ground.
Dancing in Narrow Ground.
It's just basically about taking a group of Protestants and Catholics on both sides, or from either side, and taking them down to Kellys. There's more to it. There's more substance in that, you know, about how they couldn't really mix outside of Belfast. You know,
but they could at raves and stuff.
They could, you know, go down to Portrush and be a neutral ground. You know, which a lot of, you know, I have a lot of friends that I met at raves, like obviously, you know, Wee Hen and Jack and boys like that. You know, they were all you know, both some different sides of the community, but still the best of friends now. You know, after all that, I think that was a big barrier that broke down. Everybody had their own places, the clubs, whatever, happened at that time. But
there, you could have went like it's like us going to coming from Derry and going to Banbridge. Like you would have seen, I seen many a bar multi and Banbridge, like, but it didn't sort of phase you too. You know what I mean? Because you were maybe about going Jesus, but you wouldn't. What are you laughing at? We'll get the Unum on it. But you know that didn't really bother. It didn't phase people.
No. I don't think I ever experienced anything political during the rave scene. It was maybe after the rave scene where you were going to wee places, and I'll not mention any names, like, but as soon as I walked in the door, this guy asked me, was I a Protestant or a Catholic? You know, this young boy, 17, and I'm like, fuck, what? So you came through the whole rave scene and didn't even get that.
And then after that,
then after, you know, that's when it started. You see stuff like that again. I just think Smith dismissed him off that night or something, or you know, something smart to him.
So as you were saying, like, you know, different communities got together and all. Gillian, you yourself came from a Protestant community here in Derry, Londonderry. I
like that, Charlie.
Just keep myself right. Stroke sorry. So how would you have found it growing up as a young Protestant? Because I know myself that you would have went to Burberry's and Tracks and places like that there, and then when the Point On started, you were at it every week. How did you find it?
Well, in the early days, it used to be unheard of for Protestants to be over in the city side without there being some sort of grief for aggro. Not so much for females, but more so for males. But I remember in the very, very early days of the Point In, where maybe our faces weren't known around the town, and these strangers were showing up, and I remember stories of their drug squad, or you know, people were suspicious. They didn't know your faces. They were suspicious of you at the start, but it was myself and my cousin, and it didn't really faze us. And thankfully, we had a lot of good people around us, you know, and there was never any bother or anything like that, but there were rumours.
There was rumours, I know, because I do remember people coming and asking me that I know you and who you were and blah blah blah, but I think it was just people being a wee bit dubious, because as you say, they didn't know your face, you know, like that there. But there, as you say, there was really no bother at all. So so what was it like for you to go to the Point In for when you were used to going to Burberry's and Kellys?
Oh, it was just like something else, you know. It was just like this new thing that had kicked off, and you just went in there. Everybody was of the same opinion. Everybody was there to have a good time. You know, you were meeting new people every weekend. It was just dance, party, and it was just a real relaxed, brilliant atmosphere. Just, you know.
Do you have great memories of the Point?
Some
that you can remember.
I can remember.
You can remember. And I'd say you've a few funny stories too.
Well, I do remember, and I think he's talked about this in the last podcast with Frank's daughter, the night of the big massive raid, and I particularly was standing near the stocks, dancing away, and the next thing I felt this elbow in my back, and I got shoved forward, and I was about to say, who's that cheeky goblin behind me? But when I turned round, there was a guard about 7 foot tall with a big helmet on him, knocking people like this out of the way, and they came in, they raided the place, and it was just
pandemonium.
It was chaotic. And then they were going round, there was stuff getting thrown everywhere, bundles of money getting thrown everywhere. It was just really, really crazy. And I remember a particular friend of mine, he was standing as nice as you like, sniffing a bottle of poppers, and the guards came along to him and goes, what's that you're doing? He says, having a sniff of poppers. Do you want a sniff? And he shoved a bottle of poppers under the guard's nose. Well, I grabbed him by the ponytail and took him out to the back of the Land Rover. But,
do you mind the roars, the cheers of the crowd when they were starting to take people out? No,
crazy.
It was fucking mad. But then I was reading that, as we talked about in the previous podcast, Frank's book, The Abuse of Power. Now this book, we forgot to say in the last podcast, before Frank passed away, there was a second print in this book, and there is copies available. So if anybody would like to purchase a copy of this book, Abuse of Power, a memoir by Frank Short, gives you all the ins and outs of the point on, all the stuff about his trial, about his, even as far back as the start of his family life, because he lived in Australia for a while, or was it Canada? I can't remember. But anyway, but they had a whole life before they came to the point on, how the point on was on their family and stuff like that there, the whole trial, the raids, about the club, everything. That's a really, really good book. So if anybody would like to purchase a copy, just message myself or Paul, and we'll put these in touch with the Short family. And there is some signed copies that Frank had left too, if anybody wants a signed copy. So it is actually a good read, so just give us a wee DM and we'll get it sorted out for you. Okay. So Gillian, we were talking about your experiences at the point and how it was for you coming from the waterside to go to the point and stuff like that there. You must have loads of funny stories, because I know I've been in your company loads of times and there's been plenty of events that's happened. You would have been up in Glenbrook where we would have been having the parties and stuff.
The party house.
Where all the crack happened. The point was only one part of it, wasn't it? Was the afters.
The afters. I remember the big light above the table where everybody set the decks up, and it was one of these wiry ones that came down, and you just spin it round. And every time somebody was on the decks, this light just to get flung around the living room.
Because there was holes on it and it sort of spun, and you seen all the lights coming out of it. No, I remember the night that was it Colin Biss came on with the smoke machine and
after a party
he
was doing that. And where were they DJing that night or something? They were doing some gig, and he came back on with speakers, a smoke machine and lights, and the Glenbrook Terrace, and set the whole lot up.
That's right.
And Glenbrook Terrace is a small wee terraced house, you know.
Geez, there's some crowds in that first terraced house, like, it was mad. I remember going to my bed, after a Saturday or Sunday, and then we wouldn't answer the door for 2 days because if any of the neighbours came down or anything, we would just do the fuck's head, like, and
God help the poor people that live next door to them.
The poor people of the Glen, and we had a black taxi rank up the top of our street. So it was exciting, like. So what about yours? Any funny stories, Jelly?
I suppose even after parties, other places, the point led you to Circus, Tokyo Joe's and places like that, and obviously I was usually nominated driver. Well, it used to go on automatic pilot mostly, but I remember this one particular night you were with me, Charlie, and my cousin as well, and we were coming out of Belfast, is all I know, and we were driving down the road, and all we heard was this bang, crunch, and I stopped the car and I went, what was that? So I got out of the car, but there was 2 Army Land Rovers in front of us, and they were all standing pointing their guns at me as I got out of the car, and I went round the front of the car going, what was that? There was a big road close sign, so I had drove under it, knocked it down, and that's what the crunch was. And these 2 were in the back of the car going, what is it? What is it? And I was going, it's a road close sign. What? It's a road close sign. And the Army are still standing pointing the guns. I says, is this road closed? And they just went, I said, just do a U-turn here. Just U-turned and away. I don't know how we got there, but we got away.
I remember a night we were coming from Kellys too, and they were stopping all the buses on the road up from Kellys, and he says to me, was it a police checkpoint? And he says to me, don't you open your fucking mouth. Because
the reason why I said that to you was 2 seconds before that you were sitting in the back going like this here, and I was going, what's he at? I'm just trying to grab that spider. I said, once we get to that checkpoint, you don't open your mouth. So we arrived at the checkpoint, and they'd pulled the bus from Kelly's over searching it. I come along, wind the window down. The policeman goes to me, where are you? I says, we're just coming from Burberry's. That's okay, always go. And we're going to Charlie, keep quiet.
Oh, fuck, hey. There's some. There
It was
is some.
inevitable, wasn't there? Really, just there was like checkpoints everywhere, no matter where you were going. If you were heading to Enniskillen, if you were heading to Belfast, if you were heading to Portrush.
Do you remember any raids in Kellys?
I was at both raids. Chris played. He was DJing the first one. I mean that was like just the same sort of vibe. Loads of people in. They got as many people in as they could really until, and then somebody pulled up the MP. Military police, and then before you know it, there was police and army everywhere, and people's hands were getting swabbed and all sorts of stuff. And I actually, see, you were chatting earlier about the point in one. After the first tune come on, like, I'm nearly sure Chris played. Was it? But Mr. Kelly, he'd get the. Remember, he used to be all benches and stuff. He was getting this bench, and as I say, see the first tune after that the other night.
Atmosphere.
Just thinking about it now, like it's hard to put it into words what the atmosphere was like back then. Everything raw and new, and songs being dropped certain parts of the night and meaning so much to people. Just the music that was so cutting edge back then too, really, from what it became from the likes of. Like, I remember starting to be tracks. Basically, Brian Moore was playing everything from R&B to garage to
all the KLF and all the electro stuff and
all the commercial,
24/7.
But I think Brian's one of the boys that maybe doesn't get enough recognition as well.
No, it actually doesn't, because I was a student in Portrush for 3 years, and like we always went there on a Thursday night. And Brian Moore is actually a great DJ. Knows how to read a crowd.
He knew that was one of his specialities, and to take a mick out of somebody as well.
And then he hosted the DMC too all the years.
He was the NA, what do you call it? One of them boys.
Coordinator.
So tracks, I think they ran the first 3 or 4 down in there.
Aye.
I think Robbie Nelson won the first one.
Malloy won one too, didn't he?
No, I didn't.
The one Malloy was on.
That was 1990.
Glaive won one, anyway.
Glaive won it. That was 1991 one. I think Robbie won it the year before that, or maybe Robbie won it two years previous to that. And then the year after that was Dilly won it.
Right.
He won it as well.
Gary.
And then Cato won it the year after that. I think maybe they stopped doing it after that. That was probably 94.
I remember Glaive telling the story in one of the podcasts that he was the first one he went to the national heats, and he was at the Irish heat or the Northern Ireland heat. He was playing like I said DJ Steffi and a bit of R&B and a bit of hip hop and a bit of everything, but he threw on a couple of dance tracks because at that time dance music was just coming to the forefront, so he threw on a couple, but he says it didn't work when he went to London because it was all R&B and scratching and hip hop, and so it has more urban. So it let him sort of down when he went to the nationals, but that was great exposure for them guys back then. Did you ever enter? Right.
I was in it 92 a minute as well. Me and my mate Mupper. I don't know if you ever met him. Darren Maher's dead now, Darren. He won it that year. A guy Cato. Who else was in it that year? Sticky. Remember Sticky?
Sticky,
Sticky's actually pictures of me and him actually from that night. That was 92. So 31 years ago, boys.
Fucking hell. So then the Chris Hurley era, sort of the Kellys, then he moved to the garage with Joanne, sort of thing, and you and Say.
I think Glenn done it for about a year.
You and Glenn done it yourselves?
Glenn was there basically every week, where I only come in for the harmonies.
Right, okay.
That was towards the end of 93. But the majority in 94 and 95 I was there, along with Simon.
That's when Intelligence had took it over.
Well, yeah.
Well, they were promoting it.
They had their hand on it down there too. But they were 3 great years. But I still say that as an experience as being there as a raver, it was whenever Chris had it at its full potential. It's just
that's just at the start of it too. It was fresh and it was new. It was just
everything, and again. You walked into Kellys and you thought this was somewhere special. You could go. It was totally different to what Trax was doing, or Burberry's, or Nero's, or any of the clubs in the North.
Just the atmosphere.
Oh, the atmosphere was fucking.
But then the limiter with it. Do you remember the limiter?
Yes.
You walked in, the smell of Vicks was the first thing that hit you. And then the heat.
And because we were allowed to smoke all back then, the farts didn't stick through until the smoking ban come in. But it was just an unreal place, man, and it felt you know, you did feel special when you were walking on it. You felt, you know, when you were going in there, and as soon as there was a track drop, and it was like a cheer that, you know, you were scoring a goal at Wembley Stadium, or you know, an Old Firm derby. You know what I mean? The last minute you go, and that's how electric it was. You know, and honestly, Chris must have felt, I don't know, because, you know, them tunes like Honey Child and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just dropped in the middle of the set, just straight away, just the crowd.
Chris he got to play what he wanted to play. To be fair.
A fair play to him.
Aye.
You know,
and he stuck his neck out, you know, for as long as he could. And
well, I think Chris was maybe a bit ahead of his time before anything else, really. You know, he was bringing the prog stuff in, maybe.
That's right.
Late '93, mid '93 and stuff like that, where
the scene was getting harder at that stage.
Exactly, yeah.
And then we were lucky enough too, because Chris would have done the Point on a Sunday, so you'd have seen him in Kellys on a Saturday, and then we would have seen him and even on the Point, he was that wee bit tougher, wouldn't he have been? You know,
to a point, I think.
To a point,
you know what I mean? But they still stuck to his own
guns.
There was no compromise with Chris when it came to music. He played what he wanted to play.
He never played to the audience.
No, and that was to the day he died. You know what I mean? He wouldn't sell, because me and him had a conversation one time too in Sandino's, and I was saying to him, look, I'd come back on the old school nights, and I was going, Chris, just play all the biggies. You know, just sell out and let it go. That's what everybody wants to hear. And he said, nah, Paul, I don't think I could ever do that.
No, I was. That's like this. It's like gentleman.
And you only really have to listen to is the 2012 Point and reunion set from Kellys. Like, it was on point. Like, you know, it wasn't all big tracks.
No, because and then it was the time that he was put on that stage too. You know, like they had was Xray. I think I was on before, and then Xray was on, and then Chris was on, but Chris just stopped it completely and started from scratch. You know, he wasn't going to play any.
Sure, it was a Sasha track you opened up with.
The Seal thing,
something like that. Yeah,
it was Seal I'm Alive, I think it was, wasn't it? Or, and then he was playing a remix of.
Well, the funny stuff with Alexa Dilemma and Spirit and Blade Runner.
He played.
Stuff was big for him.
What do you call? I can't remember. It'll come back to me anyway.
You know, I can have this night in my head that we were all in Sugar's dancing, along with up the back of Sugar's. I caught and he dropped. And Michael Jackson wanted to be starting something like.
Aye, that's right. The Brothers and Rhythm one.
Aye, I know that.
On.
I've got vinyl.
Yes.
About 4 copies,
you
probably.
Mean a certain individual that used to go to Glenbrook didn't steal that one?
No, probably not.
No, it's just all mine.
No names mentioned.
Another track that sticks out is Let the Music Pump You Up by
Let the Music Pump You Up.
Yeah, you know, that was like so groovy, and at that time who was it done that actually? Fuck's sake, I'm used to good
Georgie Porgy, wasn't it?
Georgie Porgy, you know, and what a track, and you could just see that spreading around the whole room, and everybody just feeling that lyric, because I don't think it said very much after that.
No,
there wasn't a verse.
Just a kick in
You could just listen to them tapes now and go, wow, what a, my partner Amanda, she's hurley fanatic too, and she goes through all the old tapes and goes, what's that song?
So someone came up yesterday on Instagram saying that Hyper Go-Go's High was 35 years old yesterday.
Aye, well actually no, it wasn't. Hyper Go-Go was out in 1992.
Right.
So and High was like mine that as well, because my son, it was August 92, I bought 7-inch singles in Wycott in Belfast. Jordan was born 11th August, so if you check that out, Charlie,
maybe I read it wrong.
92. Hyper Go-Go High was, because remember there was a B-side mix as well that Malloy played, like that it sounded like a rate generator. Started off like that. It was a deconstruction, wasn't it?
Yep.
But
sorry.
No, you're alright. Straight away about that.
Sorry, fact checking that there.
Hey, I need to be fact checked on a lot of stuff, so do but you never ever played in the Point then?
Never, no. Whenever the Point was going, I was always playing maybe Marshalls and Sion Mills, or
because that would have been
you were in Hennessy's and Andrew Road.
You were
working for Intelligence, so there was no chance of you playing them.
Exactly.
Did you ever get there?
Never got to it, but the stories I heard from Bimman and Jack and Hen and all them boys was, Bimman said it's the best small club I ever played. Sound system was like American Stadium sound system or something.
It was just mine. Everybody used to be sitting big massive bass bands. You could nearly walk on there.
That's right, like, you know, and it did make it, you know, the Kelly sound system for you was terrible. You know, we were, you know, you were playing on tin and bass, man, you know, it was fucking unreal.
There was no bottom end.
No, you know, and again, if it had been a brilliant sound system down Kelly's, the atmosphere would have been fucking unreal.
Electric.
You know,
Many did the point hole.
I can't even mind, sorry. Was it up to 1,000 or something? And they knocked that wall down the back.
I thought it was around 1,500. I thought.
Well,
I would say Frank got 1,500 on certain evenings.
Wow, that's good. Hey,
and Kelly's would have held about 4 or 5.
To be honest, it's slightly less than that too. You know, you wouldn't want to say anything out of terms because, from what I heard, most weekends there was 3,000 on it.
Aye.
You know, on some nights where it was sold out, there was maybe a couple of thousand outside. Get in.
Then it was a big complex. It just wasn't a barn.
Yeah, that was it.
Like
You
could wander about Kellys.
It was so good, like, and you know, if you liked acid jazz, you would have maybe hit the garage or upstairs for R&B and hip hop, and downstairs maybe for a light band.
And then Friday night, so you had a computer playing.
Yeah, he'd done it on the Friday. Every he was a resident of Friday for a long time.
Do you mind the night I was playing on it on the Friday? And did you drive me up? Have we done the point first, and then I was playing the point, and then went down to Kellys. Gareth sound too.
One of the funny stories was, well, for me, and it was like, I mean, we were all recording tapes one night. Paul and Hector and all the guys would have been standing behind you, just sort of with the DAT machine. Some bastard hit me in the nose with a barred sausage, red sauce on it. And it was like slow motion. I sort of gazed up and just seen it fucking flipping towards me. Before you know it, just boom, on the nose and clean onto the deck. Love was Paradise. I remember it as well on this first song.
Was that in Kellys?
That was Kellys.
Somebody's eating the back.
I just see if it hit the DJ and right on the beat, sir. No, I actually thought when it did the impact.
Did you cut yourself?
Well, I thought it was fucking what do you call it when I tasted red sauce. And I ate it, fuck. But no, other nights as well was possibly all you got. There was no such thing as a rider back then. So Simon got 12 cider, and me and Bim Man got a case of hurt between us, and it was just really a case of. Down, sit man down. The DJ box in Kellys wasn't a DJ box. It was a fucking bit of a stage with 4 breeze box and a crazy mixer. And I mind just lifting the beer all night. That's mine's cold enough. Full of cigarette butts.
Oh Jesus! That'd be your worst night there, hey?
Oh, down below the deck. Well, I built it and tie it up and. A certain DJ spiked me with an acid one night as well. And my hands were fucking floating through the decks and shit. No.
I think there was a few DJs used to spike people.
God, nothing worse.
Malloy got spiked coming up one time. His mates put a strawberry inside a chip. Put it back and give it to him.
Robbie Nelson told me a story one time, and I hope he doesn't mind me telling me this, but he was playing on the point and I was chatting to him once, and I was hearing these boys were chatting to him all night. And just before he left, he drive home. He lived in where did Robbie live? Larne. He was driving home to Larne. He got to the Glen Sheen and the fucking whatever they had spiked him. He just come up, but he said it was the longest journey home ever.
I would say that there's nothing worse.
There's nothing worse, hey.
And you're not expecting.
There's a certain DJ that spiked me was going to be. It was DJ. Look. I'm like, look. Why? He goes, look on your lip. And there it was, a big strawberry. Down the hatch, there you go. Yeah, right, white knuckle right here.
We got lost in Sam Mills one night for 2.5 hours with strawberries, didn't we?
And Sam was a mad wee place too, wasn't it? I actually photographed you.
That was crazy down there.
That's when Paul left the point and deflected and went to work for Hector.
So the point was open, it was shut, it was open.
I know, that's what you were saying on that.
And you were trying to get DJs for it, you couldn't go in, you couldn't go.
I remember
a week ahead of yourself.
One of the old tapes. I think it was Big Ian from Harmony. And next week, Jack O'Sai, Xray and Paul P. and that was very rare for us boys to play together, back then too,
I mind have been down there because it's the first time I had a promo copy of JX on a gun.
Oh yeah.
And whacked that on. And I went from down the storm.
I mind Jack O playing a mix of Agar Bilk, Stranger on the Shore. It's like an old clarinet. Oh, it was fucking amazing. My dad actually loved it back then too.
I think Malloy was on before me in BCR one night. No, I used to go to Belfast and then you'd go in the middle of the night and do the radio, and he was Ronnie would have been there and fucking
Phil,
Big Phil, and anyway, I was to be on this week, so there was a squad of us went up to it, and I don't think I was on to 4 or 5 in the morning or something like that, but Malloy was on before me, and he left me with that Egger ball.
Right.
So he didn't know the way it's straight down tempo and I was, oh, how the fuck am I going to mix anything into this here, like? And I go, you hit for cunt. He was laughing, going out the door, like, so he was. But he was another fucking amazing DJ that you would have DJ'd with, and Kelly and us in the point.
Like Glenn's interaction with, or what I call it, with the crowd, he just had the crowd in the palm of his hands. I remember one night he was playing Tessa Don't Stop just at the very end of the night in Kellys, and he was scratching for about 3 minutes through it, and then Tessa had just stopped at the end, and he continued just scratching for about an hour, 30-40 seconds, and he just went and the whole place just fucking lit up. But with a scream, like, you know, it's, you know, again,
he's one of the best technical DJs that I ever witnessed, you know.
At that point again, he would have been top of his game, definitely.
First person I heard phasing,
the two records together
at the same time. And that just echo used to come through. Now we hit the button.
It was iconic up here.
It was. Like, many people have asked to see if we could get Malloy to come back and do the point down, but Glenn's busy with his art, and
Glenn's ears are going,
and his ears is going a bit, but his art too is amazing, like, you know, he's a very talented guy, like, so yeah.
Definitely 100%.
So then you were in Kellys then for, well, you, as you said, you done Kellys for or Malloy done it for a year, and then you would have been coming on then to do the harmonies.
To do the harmonies, that was September, was the first one I done, and then I done like every month after that, or whenever they were in. And I think it was in the January or the February Glenn left, and then I got the residence job. And probably about 2 or 3 months after that, then Simon came on board. And that was our sort of impact on the hard trance sort of side of things. You know, when you knew that things were speeding up, it was either where you were going to play hardcore, or you were going to play like hard trancey sort of sort of side.
And you said that sewn up there too,
yeah. So again, all because we were getting the promos. You know, you were getting box of them promos once a month, or maybe once every couple of weeks, like, and you're just
that's true.
You know, I can make a tune out, make a anthem out of that, whatever, you know. And again, the tunes were coming out that fast back then too. It's just basically what today's like. You know, when's the last time you heard an anthem being made? You know, now that you can play every single week.
But did you notice
some tunes now play maybe up 2-3 weeks play it? You know, and that's it, over.
And I would notice with my son, like, he would listen to a lot of stuff on Spotify, and a lot of it's all older tunes that's been sped up, or has samples older.
If you've been listening to church over the last 6 months, you know, you just see that all the piano-y sort of early sort of stuff's coming back, and again, especially for the summertime sort of, you know, the holiday seasons and stuff. You know, it's been reproduced again all over again. Again, there's only so many chords on a scale you can, or many bass lines you can put together, you know what I mean? So you've heard them all before.
So then when you were doing the main room, you inside, Joanne would have been doing the garage.
Came Joe's garage,
and we're excited to get her
it's good to see her
coming back after her illness, and she's really, I was down there a couple of weeks ago, and she's really looking forward to getting back at the helm, so we're looking forward to that night, the return of Joe's garage.
There was a female DJ back then, was really, you know, there wasn't really many of them.
No, there wasn't.
There was probably Frankie and Linda from Pips in Belfast, probably she was one of the first DJs I seen, then Joanne. But nowadays it's great to see loads of female DJs out there.
She had quite a regular following as well.
She had a big following. She had a big following from down around the north coast, and she had a massive following from Derry.
I used to walk into Gary's, and it was all Derry heads.
It was all Derry heads, and the music was brilliant. I used to love it when her and Chris both were playing on it, because it was just the music was amazing. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have been I would have went under the hard trance and stuff, you know. But it was rare for us, even at that time, to have a Saturday night off. To go to Kellys, because we had our own club nights and things going on in the town, like, you know what I mean? But it was a big successful time for you at the time.
Well, it's lasted us quite a long time. You know, there's still people chatting to me about nights, whether they were there or whether they can still remember or not. You know, certain nights like the Tricks and Card Cops, or Ultrasonic Dream Frequency, or, you know, Scooter or Die Witness. You know, probably 95 was probably the closing point in terms of music, where things became really commercial. We were trying to still beat out the hard trance sort of more intelligent sort of side of techno side of things. Where the club was bringing more like the Scottish bouncy techno sort of vibe in, you know, which again was possibly planned as demise, you know.
Because then when did Lush start?
Well, Lush didn't start to probably the March of '96, so Kellys had closed probably 1st of January '95 or '96
for the refurb, and then
refurb and stuff.
And then Lush started. So what did you do then after you left Kellys?
For possibly for the first year, I went to play in Court House for Eddie Ray.
That's right.
That was up until '97. Then Hector and them boys opened up Area 51 in Ghana. And that probably ran about maybe 7-8 months until, and the bouncers, there was a attack on the bouncers up there as well. Which then to me after that had all happened, I just sort of tried to get out of the rave scene and go and become a club DJ. And that's where I got involved by the Bullseye.
Right.
So we done Club Juicy down there from probably '97 to 2000. And I think maybe you'd have done a couple of times as well.
We played down a couple of times already.
So, and again, that was a Thursday and Saturday night. And it was just by chance I was walking by the place one night, and another DJ, Hatchet, he was an older DJ. He was like, "Hey, boy, you still DJing?" And it was just literally the week before I'd left him, so I wasn't out of work very too much long. So I got in there a wee package where you were getting good money a week, and they were buying your records and all. I couldn't fucking believe it.
There's not many promoters would be buying your records.
I know that. But that was
Never.
No.
I know it's always great to you. I think it was a £400 a month regular allowance, like so.
Jesus.
I know.
It could be 50-60 quid a week.
Imagine asking Frank for a £400 record allowance.
And the old record shops, like, what they were brilliant, like going to, weren't they? They were like.
Well, you had one of your own, didn't you?
Aye. But before that, you remember heading up to the likes of the Gramophone Shop or Dr. Roberts and
Dr. Roberts, you know that time.
Harry Bear.
Yeah, totally. That was way upstairs, wasn't it? You know, before the
Dr. Roberts was the place that I couldn't remember. We were talking.
That's it was a wee pokey, and it was just stuff full of vinyl.
But it was with sold metal albums and stuff
so
too.
Most of the MFS sort of Paul Van Dyke stuff I'd been interested in there. You were getting the likes of all his stuff, fucking way before. And again, it was just that's what DJing was about back then. You trawled, you get a track, and then before you know it, you're calling that track your own. It was sort of your signature tune or whatever.
Because other people couldn't get it.
That was the whole thing.
Promo, that was the good days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Were you like this and put white stickers over the top of your?
I Tipex and fucking wrote a different name on it. Or just wrote a wow on it, or fuck off or something like that. Because everybody that's the whole DJ.
Have you had something that you knew the other people didn't have?
Over back, fuck's that? I know boys that had just a couple of wee mats just to put over the centre too. That was the thing back then, and that's the same. Whenever you were trawling through record shops and you got a tune and you broke in and other DJs left it alone then, didn't they? Well, that was the kind of honour amongst DJs thing back then, wasn't it?
You weren't allowed to play it if you were playing.
And
that was his tune.
I made a couple of times being up in Malloy's shop and having not seen my tune because Bidman was playing it.
I remember me and Paul going to Belfast and we'd buy some summer records, and I remember one night me and Hammond Basswood went and I played this record and I was doing the warm-up and I thought, you know what, I hadn't listened to it, so I thought that seems grand enough, so I just fired it on. The two of them were up, well fuck, I'm really playing that this time of night. And one else is going to play that there. Oh right,
you
had to build the night from the start, that's an art now that's lost, just to be built up gradually.
I think that was a good thing how I learned too, because being a warm-up DJ was like,
I only shouted the tune because Malloy used to shout at me.
Right, okay, so that's what it was. But being a warm-up DJ sort of gave you because I remember people on the point, because what the point was like, it was so they wanted all the big tunes, but if you're on the start you can't be playing that sort of stuff, and people, you would try and coerce them out with try and get a house tune that the people weren't playing, and then play it a wee bit faster because it wasn't a point on. But it gave you a great experience as being a DJ and how to get a crowd on the dance floor, if you know what I mean.
I remember you doing a night one night, you were opening up, I'm not sure it might have been Hennessy stuff, but you were playing all the Cleveland City stuff, which was fucking brilliant.
Cleveland City was a great label.
What was the big names in that? Judy Chicks was on that, Tony DeBart, things like that.
There's some cracker.
Loads.
There's loads of stuff.
Ugly Bug, you liked Ugly Bug?
That's because Pete was over. Pete used to come over all the time.
Pete Bones.
Was
he still? floating?
I still doing stuff in America, and he's living in Miami, and he was home in London and all the time. I'll tell you a good story about Pete Bones. We remember the first Rude birthday party we had in Hennessy's?
Yeah, the big one.
The big one. Well, this crowd of fellas come up from Dundalk, right? They were friends with my brother and all. There was Malloy, there was a big lineup. I think we had 11 DJs or something like that there. But Pete Bones was on the lineup, and we put him on to start because we knew, well, not the start, but it was sort of early on in the night, because he would have been playing more housey sort of stuff, and we wanted to keep the trance and the proggy sort of stuff to the end. But so he came off anyway, and he was chatting to these fellas from Dundalk, right? And the boy was saying to him, I have a motorbike, and he was, oh, what sort of motorbike have you got? And he was just telling him, went out and showed him and all. So the two of them decided they would go off on a run on this bike. Well, they fucking, the night was over, and we were back at the house before the two of them could find out where they were. They got lost completely, hey. And then he says, Pete was mad. No, any new women or anything would come onto the club, he'd be all over them like a rash. And I remember at the end of the night, one night he says to me, I'm away to a party. And I was like, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to Chantal's house. And I was like, Chantal's house? And I was like, that cared. I think her name's Chantal, and we're going to Chantal house. And I said, you ain't going to no fucking Chantal house with an English thing. I says, that's a fucking bar, you idiot. He thought it was actually, he was going to this girl called Chantal's house. It was funny, like, but some crackers we peaked, like.
Her cousin Gobna.
Gobna, that's right. But so at the minute you're quite busy with your radio.
Yeah, I still do that on a Friday. I do old school takeover from about 8 o'clock to 6 in the morning, where I just cover all aspects of old school from the early house right the way through, and then I do like a 2-hour, 3-hour bootleg sort of session that I've been doing sort of edits and stuff. I'll see online DJ now is like, boys are just doing it every day fucking now, which is boring, because they're going to do an hour of maybe stuff where, I find it a wee bit more challenging if you're going on doing a 9-hour set. It's a wee bit more.
Geez, I do 2 hours a week in that radio.
But I enjoy it, and the people who come in and are there, they're there from fucking 9 o'clock tonight, 6 o'clock in the morning too.
You were telling me,
fuck all day, you're stuck fuck all day Saturday.
You were telling me your viewing audience goes up after night.
You're coming off at night, like, and there's maybe more people on listening at 6 o'clock in the morning than there is at fucking 9 o'clock. So you find it hard then, you're maybe doing another hour and keep it. But then
be under your 5th can of boost.
So what are you going to play in your reunion then? What are we looking forward to?
It'll be all early stuff. I'll not try and take it any of the whole Xray, but I'm educated enough where I'll know I'm going to go down.
It depends what time of night you're on too.
I'll fit it on first. I'll take your, what you call it, Charlie, I'll pay all your label again.
Cleveland City.
He's got a bag of Cleveland City. Be alright then, B-sides I hate,
But no, we're looking forward to having you.
Listen, and thank you so much for having me. The one we done in the Edmonton Square a couple of years ago.
The Point End Festival,
amazing, and it's just great to be included in it, because I know I never played at the Point End, but I'm glad that you see that I'm still worth a bit of.
Oh, you're an absolute legend, Rick.
We couldn't not have you on, you know what I mean?
And I say thanks very much. But no, it'd be great if you thought that way. You might have a bit of money about me.
So, Gillian, what would have been your favourite night in the Point?
That I can remember.
That you can remember.
I know that night of the big raid, it really sticks out just because of the pure buzz when Frank did his speech, and everybody was cheering and
what was he saying in his speech? Can you remember?
He was just saying stuff like, they will not stop us dancing, and they will not interfere, and we will carry on, and the whole crowd was cheering and buzzing him on, and then the lights, as I think I said before, and Better Days come on, and it just went absolutely off the scale. We were talking on a previous podcast about the encores that used to happen with bass. He used to taunt people, and he would throw one on, and then he wouldn't throw it on, and then he would wait till the whole crowd went clean mad. And I would have done the same too, but there always was encores all the time. And the Point, there would have been an odd time in Kellys, but the bouncers would have been a wee bit more.
As soon as 1:15 came in Kellys, and the lights were on, before you know it, you're fucking seeing some people.
But I remember the lights coming on and Co-Imperial playing. You know what I mean? At the end of the night.
And they'll see that era, it's just,
and Please Don't Go.
And they're now in the 92 era as well, and that wouldn't have been maybe a track that Chris would have played very often, but I remember him playing it one night and the whole place crying, and Yeah, that was the whole emotional aspect of it all. It was very emotional back then. Whether or not it's people who hadn't seen each other, because the first maybe hour of the night back in Kellys, some nights Kellys opened at 6 and 7 o'clock. You know, for the first hour it was maybe people who hadn't seen their other people, you know, they were just meeting up for the first week chatting about such and such. If you know what the music was building and the sound system went up a wee bit more, and it was people just walking about drinking cups of tea at the start of the night and all. You know,
I worked in
see who they were.
I think I said this in the podcast before. I worked in the bar because I was a student in Portrush, and I worked in the bar. And the first week I worked there was a guy, I'm not going to say his name, but they used to have drinks and beer and stuff like that there, but then they used to sell water, and it was 50p for a pint of water. And he says to me, "You'll sell more water than anything else." He says, "See your glasses? See, that's your box you put the water in." He says, "See that there? That's for us." He says, "So when you sell 2 pints of water, one's on there, one's on there for us." I was alright, okay, no problem at all. But I lasted 3 weeks in the bar because the music and the way people were going. I remember the first night, one's coming up and being pure idiot, and they were going, "Get yourself lying down." What the fuck? What? You know what I mean?
Did you ever see your cell nights?
I was always a teetotaler, as you know. So it was, and you can vouch for that, Tilly.
Of course.
So Ray, you've been busy this last while with you have a wee project going on in Belfast that you do once a month.
That's right, the Belfast Barge, the venue up there, very unique sort of intimate setting for all. What we're doing is basically recreating the old mixtapes from years ago, doing them out live, and just something different, you know. It only fits 100 people, so it's kind of, you know, that the people's there is going to be there for that style
for
of
that
music,
reason,
you know. And
these are people that these are older mixtapes that you've done.
That's, you know, anything I probably sort of done through the intelligence era. Any sort of big hitters that, you know, I'll just go up there and recreate them live, sort of in front of everybody, get them all recorded up, and obviously.
What's it like having a rave in a barge?
Well, the barge is lying off the plumb a bit. You go into it and you're sort of walking up the stairs to get down the stairs, but you still feel as if you're going up the stairs, which is fucking weird. It's something like that, you know. You know, even when you're DJing, you're sort of DJing like that, lying off the plumb. But I know that's working well for us. We've done about 3 or 4 of them up there. We're also bringing out or giving the chance to any new brands and stuff. We're doing the Keep On Techno with Gordon Coots and Double M in October, which is, we're just basically taking a brand and bringing it in and putting a night on and letting them sort of play, you know, and sort of give them all a bit of airtime, you know, which is that's what you need to be doing, really.
And hopefully we can tie in.
Certainly. I think something like, you know, a point of reunion down there for 100 people would be fucking amazing, big vertigo or something. You know, because it's in all the ones that go there, we're all over 40s. You know, it's not like young whippersnappers on about it.
No, I know what you mean. Like Jillian. So Jillian, you're coming to the reunion?
I am going to be in Croatia. I'm raging, I'm missing it. This holiday was put off from April,
right,
and it just falls over.
Well, so you'll see the feeds on YouTube anyway.
I'll have a look at these. I'll play these from over there.
And as we're talking about the event, the online tickets are nearly sold out.
They're getting very low now at the minute. There's still good physical tickets now in cool discs.
Right.
You still pick them up, but online ones look as if they're going to sell out shortly.
So I would, if you were wanting to buy it online, I would get your ticket as soon as possible, and you get them on skiddle.com, as you can see. If you notice in our socials, you'll see the wee barcode, and if you just scan your phone over the barcode, that'll take you direct to a ticket link. And as you can see, as we talked about, Ray's going to be there, Glaive Dobbin's going to be there. Glaive and Jackal were at the last one, and they played immensely. Their set was really cracker, so it was a great night. We have, for the first time for this series of the Point Down reunions, we've got Colin Hamilton from Lush coming back.
Colin was down based in the Point and actually did play records in the Point Down. Yeah, and he brought Paul Bleasdale and all the time that all happened. Now the thing about this one too is we're up in the ante slightly. We're bringing on board like a production team now this time. The last time we were above the bar and I thought we were too far removed from the crowd. So we're going to come down onto the stage, we're going to put a bigger sound system, better lighting and everything else into the venue as well.
And we're spending a bit of money on
We
it.
are going to spend a bit of money on it this time, just you know what I mean, and go and do it right. You know what I mean, and get it so we get a better atmosphere. Not that the atmosphere in the last one wasn't good, but I just think we just need a couple of wee touches. And then having Joanne back down in the garage again, can't wait for that.
That's going to be really exciting. And I know she can't wait to get playing and stuff, and the re-rub DJs will be joining her down there.
Well, that's me and you again, I think.
Really? Well, Peter, I know. So, but no, it promises to be a good night. There's great interest on it. The tickets are flying at the minute, and we're hoping that there's been 2 podcasts so far in the run up to this, that there could be we have something else up our sleeves. Hopefully taking the podcast on tour for a wee bit, but we'll see. It's all in the planning at the minute. But don't forget, folks, you can buy your tickets on Skittle.com, or you can get them on Cool Discs in Foyle Street in Derry, and they're very limited. And we would also like to thank this week's sponsors. So we would, you'll see the sponsors running across the screen here, and also, as you can see, we're in the 21 training studio.
Just like to say thanks, Paddy, for everything you've done for us.
Cheers, Paddy. I used to work here with Paddy, and they do a program called Creative Media. It's broadcasting from 21 training, and you can enrol in November. You can actually enrol now,
September,
and it's creative media
and
digital technology, and there's level 1 and level 2, and you can check the 21 training out on Facebook, where you can get more information, or you can there's contact numbers and emails, and you can contact Paddy. And that course incorporates sound, DJ, film, music and gaming console. It's a great course, and I've seen the young ones coming on here to do it, and Paddy spends a lot of time with them. And
what about old people, Paddy? We allowed on it?
Well, shaped to be maybe.
Okay.
It's not shaped enough.
But Paddy's our camera and editing man. So if anybody wants to find out a wee bit more information about 21 training, we'll put a link in the bottom of the podcast. We'd just like to thank this week's guest, which is the legend himself, Big Xray.
Very much.
Ruben McLaughlin and Gillian Duncan.
Thank you for having us.
Hunter, sorry. Or Gunter, as she would be known.